Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and it's time for another comic book review video. Last week's was an epic of 13 books lasting almost an hour. Thank you to everybody who watched that and stuck with it right to the very end. This week, a little bit more simpler. 5 books to talk about and give you my thoughts and opinions on, so we're looking at a much cleaner, smaller version of last week. So hopefully a lot more people will watch, because I know long videos can be quite scary to some people. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we're going to go straight into this week's. But before I do, spoiler warning. Yes, of course, I'm going to be talking about the books that I picked up on Wednesday, and so I'm going to be talking storylines, so I may spoil some stuff for you if you've not already read the books, and there's a doozy of a spoiler in this video. So if you've not read any of these comic books, just skip to the next one. Once you see me put the comic back down, I've more than likely just finished talking about it and I'm going on to the next one. Right, so I'm kicking off with the return of Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang's Paper Girls, issue number 11. They've brought some friends along to help them out in the shape of Matt Wilson and Jared K. Fletcher. And this was deceptively underwhelming, because it's not. When I got to the end of this book, I'll try and explain what I mean by that, because I got to the end of the book and I seem to have got through it very quickly. This didn't feel like it was a full-length comic book. So I looked back and just checked, and there seemed to be a great deal going on, but it was very kind of episodic, like this happened, then this happened, then this happened, to get to this point. And although all this stuff happened, nothing was really particularly revealed. One of the girls, KJ, is having a dream. It turns into a nightmare. She wakes up and we find that the girls have kind of camped out in this new time zone. We're not quite sure where we are now, past, present, future, other dimension. And we found out that one of the girls has gone walkies and discovers an inhabitant of the land, a young kind of tribal looking girl there with spears and loincloths and the like, and her life seems to be in danger as always. The other girls kind of catch up to her, and then this big kind of huge monster, kind of prehistoric animal, comes out of nowhere. And although it looks like there seems to be some danger here, this just seems to be placed in here to put, I think it's Max, into danger as she gets knocked into the water, and you just kind of have this monster just standing there now. Oh, I've knocked her into the water, my job's here done, I'll just stand here looking non-threatening, despite the fact that I've just come out, claws on my hind legs, all very scary and dangerous. And it just kind of didn't fit, it didn't sit well. And of course we've got to throw in some more time travelling nonsense when we have a kind of craft crashing to the ground of wherever we are, and we have this doctor who apparently has created time travel. So it was a bit of a patchwork mishmash of a story that, while I appreciate that I don't want to be told everything up front, I'd like a couple of answers here and there. And you can add some more questions and make some more interesting points along the way, but don't let all these unanswered plot lines and threads build up and build up and build up, because we've got so many characters involved in this book now that, you know, they kind of get lost in this whole patchwork of storytelling that Brian K. Vaughan is doing. And I just kind of not necessarily want it more linear. As I said, I just want some little bits to be answered, and kind of a stamp put on it to say this is what we're doing, or this is the answer to this question, or this is where we are, this is how these people are connected in some respects, and then throw some more madness into it. But as I said, don't keep piling up all the unanswered questions. It was still a good book to read. It wasn't the kind of return after its hiatus I was hoping for. It's kind of triumphant. Let's really kind of get the motor running again on Paper Girls. But throughout the last 10 issues, it hasn't really been so much about the action, which may be why this fails somewhat, because this is the kind of first real kind of like danger that they've been in, really. That maybe Brian K. Vaughan didn't quite get the flow of the book right. However, Paper Girls is a great kind of character study of these girls and developing them as fully fledged characters. So I'm still enjoying that. I'm still enjoying Paper Girls. It looks lovely. The colouring and the art by Cliff Jang and Matt Wilson is just a delight. So that is Paper Girls. Moving on to Marvel and issue 28 of Star Wars, and we continue with this diary entry that Luke Skywalker is reading regarding one of Master Yoda's many tales of high adventure, as he makes his way up this mysterious blue mountain that kind of has some sort of power, almost kind of force-like, and as he gets deeper and deeper, he meets this young child who's managed to survive all this time, and Yoda kind of learns from the child. And the twist, I guess, in this, because we've been told that these children are supposedly getting kidnapped and taken into the heart of this mountain, never to return. Where are all the adults? Well, the fact of the matter is, the people that have gone into the mountain don't actually want to leave. They're quite happy being inside this. It's all very cosy and nice. And they don't mind staying in here, which is incredibly strange. We kind of get a kind of similarity in storytelling as this young boy teaches Yoda how to kind of control the stones and make his way through this mountain, and there is that kind of similarity of mentoring that Yoda does in The Empire Strikes Back with Luke Skywalker. So there's that kind of analogy going on here, that, you know, there was at one point, you know, Yoda had to be taught things as well, and it kind of goes in cycles. And then the big twist at the end is, of course, that this mountain is alive. It's a real living thing. The heart of this mountain is actually a heart. All very fun, Star Warsy stuff, sci-fi excitement. Jason Aaron doing just a great job on here, and I like the Salvador LaRocca art for these kind of flashback, I guess you could call them, storylines from the diaries that Luke Skywalker is reading. So fun stuff. Be interesting to see how this storyline completes. Moving on to Boom Studios, issue 29 of James Tynion's The Woods. And like I say about this book every time, it kind of ebbs and flows with interest. It doesn't just say solid for a long time and I get weary of it, and then suddenly something exciting happens and it claws me back in again just in time. And that's what happened with this. We've got Tsunami from the last issue having kind of literally kind of crash landed back on Earth, and she's brought that little kind of alien creature that we can see on the back along with her, and it's her basically telling the story of where she's been, what's been happening, and we've got to go and save my friends kind of deal. But of course, people, Earthlings, being as untrusting as they are and always in fear of the unknown, although Tsunami wants to kind of tell the world what is happening. Well, of course, there's authorities that do not want that, as the kind of FBI come crashing in to this secluded house to capture both this alien and Tsunami. While up on this kind of war planet, Karen, I think that's her name, Karen. She's making her way to kind of like their adversary's camp, because she's realised we're going to have to kind of work together now to battle what is actually the core of this planet, the evilness that is pervading the whole planet, and hopefully we'll be able to, having worked together, kind of get home, find a means of escape. And it gave this kind of extra exciting dynamic to the book again, which is always kind of up and down with it. So still on board with the Woods, still slogging on with it, waiting for moments like this. Penultimate book of the week, we're looking at Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight, issue number 11, and we've got 3 more issues of this before Jeff Lemire shuts up shop, pulls the blinders down on this volume of Moon Knight. And you just don't know what to think with this book. It's kind of split into 2, where we'd seen in the last issue glimpses of Mark Spector's young life, and apparently these voices starting to emerge with Jake. And it's in this kind of half of this issue we follow Mark's journey through his kind of teenage life, going to his father's funeral and then running away, joining the army, being in these kind of pit fights, and gradually kind of accumulating kind of all these psyches and voices and personalities in his head, and just general weirdness that people see happening to him. A great kind of different look at where these kind of different personalities came from. And on top of that, we've got the kind of supernatural, the Egyptian mythology storyline, where Moon Knight has fallen into, I think it's the Overvoid, and we do have this kind of Egyptian landscape with armies of kind of like Egyptian soldiers on huge, big kind of ant-like creatures who capture Mark Spector, or Moon Knight, whoever personality you want him to be at that moment, and they're looking to sacrifice Mark for whatever kind of deity that they are worshipping. Jeff Lemire, Greg Smallwood, and Jordie Bellaire have really kind of turned the whole mythology and the history of Moon Knight on its head, bringing all these kind of split personalities emerging much earlier in Mark Spector's life, rather than him almost dying in front of a pyramid and then Khonshu kind of bringing him back to life and giving him the power of the Moon Knight, power of the moon and such like. And then the characters that, his split personalities come to the fore from that moment. Lemire is using all those concepts, but making them happen much, much earlier in Mark's life, and he's meeting all his kind of the gang, the group that he's got. They're being introduced into his life at a much earlier date. At the end of this, we have him after being in this kind of underground fight club type area, meeting up with Frenchie. But really enjoyed this volume of Moon Knight, added an extra weird spin to the mythology of Moon Knight, and hopefully Moon Knight will get picked up again in another volume, and whoever takes it on can move on with that storyline and use Moon Knight more, because he's a great character. I really enjoy the Mark Spector, the Moon Knight character. So, finally, left the best to last, of course. It's Remender's Deadly Class, issue number 26. And I do find it kind of amusing that when I showed this book on Wednesday, I spoke about how this kind of second term of Deadly Class, this second year, introducing these new freshmen, there was a lot more humour in it. As dark as it was, there was a lot more humour in this second year of Deadly Class, which I was really enjoying. Well, there ain't no humour in this. Oh no! We leave the school for assassins for an issue, perhaps, and focus on two characters, said two, that, well, let's talk about the story. We are kicking off, we're in Nevada. We've got one of those kind of enclosed mansions surrounded by guards, and we have these, I guess you could call, not exterminators, kind of waste removal guys you see down at the bottom here, and they've come to sort out some plumbing emergency. And I was already kind of wary of what was going on here, because the start of this does feel like those movies where whether it's like a group of villains like in Ocean's 11, or whether it's a group of kind of good guys trying to kind of break into, I don't know, some mafia's stronghold, where they kind of disguise themselves as, it's always kind of janitor type characters, and they break in, and they're always kind of masked and such, like just like they are here. And I gotta say, I knew they couldn't do it for long. I knew they couldn't keep this character away for that much longer. This is an escape plan, a rescue plan, and we find that it is a plan to rescue Maria, who, poor girl, being tortured mercilessly by the inhabitants of this Nevada mansion. So already we've got one of our characters who we thought may have died in the end of last season, and we have kind of like the mother of all escapes. There's lots of shooting, there's lots of kind of stabbing, there's guns, there's gangs, and amidst all this, she's rescued, of course, and she's got a bit of a revenge a plan ahead now, because she's been tortured so often. But obviously the big reveal, one of the people that was under those masks coming to rescue her was, of course, he's back! It's Marcus! We thought he was dead at the end of the last year, having been basically skewered through the stomach by a kind of samurai blade, but no, he's alive. I didn't want to believe that Marcus was dead, and I just hoped and hoped and hoped, and he's back. He's back, he's rescued our Maria. But what's great about this, not just the fact that two great characters are back from the original year, this opens up the story so much more now. We had, there was a lot of talk at the start of this second year that, oh, this is just going to be a kind of retelling of the first year. We're going to get all these new freshmen, and we all know what's going to happen at the end of the year. They're all going to have to try and kill each other. Is Deadly Class just going to be regurgitating the last year? Oh no! Why anyone would think Remender would be that predictable, would be that ordinary, be that obvious? No. He's thrown open the doors now, because what are Marcus and Maria going to do now? Are they going to go back to the School of Assassins? Are they going to take revenge there? Are they going to keep their heads down low? Are they going to want to seek revenge on those that killed her? What about Maya? How is she going to be involved in this? Oh, I've always said Deadly Class is one of the best Image books out, and I always highly recommend this book. And issues just like this just make it perfect. Remender has... oh, he's just done me proud. What a fantastic, fast-paced, moving storyline. From, you know, you're feeling sorry for the torture that Maria's going through. The anger, the passion of Maria as she's set free. She gets her kind of fan blades back and goes into battle to escape. It's just all wrapped up in the great wonderfulness of Wes Craig and Jordan Boyd. The art and the colours never fail to excite me and make me feel just like, oh, I want more and more and more of this. Deadly Class. Class book. Thank you very much. That's all my books for this week. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on them. If you liked what you've seen, there's lots of things you could do. Give this video a big thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any more. I do at least 2 videos a week. Wednesday, you get to see what I picked up on my pull list. And on Sunday, which is today, you get to hear all my thoughts about it once I've read them. And of course, comment down below. Did you enjoy all my books as much as I did? Were you expecting Marcus to turn up like that? Oh, what a great week of comics. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week with more thoughts, opinions and reviews. Bye bye.